breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty. Mornings on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Fletcher.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
On 7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty. Ruben's out today. He had a show, last night at Bears, kicking off Geeked Week.
Yes.
At Bears.
So he was probably up late, probably drank too much iced tea. And
I almost had to call him.
Did you?
About 5:45.
Oh, he would not like that.
Well, it's like I don't do this very often, and every time I do it, it's either a new room.
Yep.
We were in there, so it's a whole new system.
Right.
Everything's changed. So, yeah, it's.
You're doing good so far. Knock on wood. What is this? What is this?
I don't know. There's no wood in here. Wait, right here.
Okay.
There we go.
What is this? Granite? I don't even know what this tabletop.
It's a granite look.
It's fake. It's like plastic or whatever.
It's not granite, yeah.
Okay, marble?
No. Lord, no. I don't know. We'll have to ask Kelly.
Okay.
He's here.
It's like some sort of chemical.
It looks good.
It does look good. This room looks good.
It's amazing.
Big Boss came in yesterday. She'd been on vacation, and she came in, and she was like, wow, this really does look good. I'm like, yeah.
Where was I?
I don't know where you were. And she said, are you happy? And I said, yes, I'm happy.
Gosh, nobody asks me that.
Yeah, I know. She would have asked you that. She would have said, do you like it? And you would have said, of course.
I love it.
Aaron likes it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know the old thing, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy?
Happy work-wife, happy life. Yeah, happy
exactly.
work life. Yeah, what is it?
Oh, my gosh. We're going to have the state treasurer, John Fleming, on after 7 o'clock. And there's a little twist to this term limit thing in Bossier. Because,
another one?
Yeah.
How many twists? This got more twists than a martini.
What? That sounds good. Did we make that happen this morning? Does Uber Eats deliver martinis?
I don't know. I would doubt it.
Yeah.
You'd have to have an ABO card.
Something, yeah. Anyway, if the Bossier City Council does not vote to put the term limits on the ballot this fall, I believe it then goes to the Bond Commission. Well, the State Bond Commission, the person in charge of that is the state treasurer, who is John Fleming.
Okay.
And I kind of brought him up to speed on this yesterday afternoon, and I said, well, you mind getting your staff to do a little homework on this and let me know if the Bossier Council doesn't do anything with this petition, at what point does the Bond Commission step in and say, okay, we will call the election? Does the council still have to vote to take it to the Bond Commission? And so he told me, he said, I'll do a little work on it. I'll get my lawyer and my legal team and my researchers to check it out. And he'll be able to answer those questions this morning. So that's coming up after 7. I'm hoping he found out everything. I mean, it was 4 o'clock late in the day yesterday, so I don't know if he had time to, get to the bottom of it.
So let me get this straight. You set the state treasurer straight.
Well,
you got the state treasurer up to speed.
Well, I like John Fleming, and I didn't want to cold blam him with it today, and he wouldn't know anything about it.
Right.
So I sent him a text yesterday. I said, are you free? And literally,
what are you wearing?
I didn't say, what are you wearing? And he's thinking, oh God, is she at a Subway again and got a complaint?
Right. Subway, they're out of onions.
Fix this. And I texted him back and I said, he said, yeah, he's free. So I called him And I said, I just want to give you a heads up. Yeah, no, I want to give you a heads up about this deal with the term limits. And he goes, I'd heard little inklings about it, but I'm glad you called because now I'll dig in and I'll find out, at what point do we step in? So we're going to find out from the
we'll
horse's
find out.
mouth. Yeah, absolutely.
At 7:10 this morning.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
State
it. Absolutely.
Treasurer. All right. Stay close. Let me see if I can do this. 101.7 FM 710 KEEL.
Hey. Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Okay, like I told you, I did look up the breakdancing.
Oh, okay, good.
The Olympic. You can't find a lot of footage like on YouTube, I guess, because it's all copyrighted, because it's owned by the Olympics.
Right.
And not just everybody can just load up.
You can go into the Peacock app, though. And
I don't have Peacock.
Oh, okay.
I pay for far too many to keep adding.
I know.
I wasn't impressed.
See, I loved it. I
mean, it's not that they're not talented and physically fit, and I mean, it's like gymnastics, but it's a lot of spinning on the head, and I mean,
the contortionism to me is like, wow, how do you do that? I don't get it.
It's to me, it's not an Olympic sport. I'm sorry.
See, I might go with you on that.
Well, I did see it's not going to be back in 2028.
Oh, it's not? It was just experimental?
I guess.
Okay.
I don't know if that Australian ray gun killed it.
I haven't watched that yet.
I can't find. I've seen clips of it.
I need to go look.
It's like me breakdancing.
Yeah.
She's a lot of,
Oh, gosh. Kind of like you falling off a ladder sort of thing?
Yeah, sort of like that. Yeah. I'm breaking my finger. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think she ever spun on her head either.
Oh, she didn't?
I don't think she even did the.
Okay. Was she a big girl?
No. She was cute.
Okay.
She was, just Australian. She was obviously fit. She was
right.
But
I liked it. I didn't like the smackdown where your opponent is standing over you. I wasn't a fan of that because I'm like, eventually that opponent's going to get in the way. I mean, if this continues, there's going to be a problem with you kicking the opponent or you doing a flip and you're kicking him in the face accidentally.
At first, I thought it was a judge, but then I remembered what you said.
Yep.
No, that's their
smackdown, yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's their way of trash talking each other. And then they were all hugging and loving at the end, which I thought was kind of cool. But, I mean, there are Olympic sports that... badminton? Really?
Yeah.
When you think about it...
Are we that desperate to add sports into the Olympics?
But we took softball out?
Well, I don't have a problem with that either.
There's no baseball? I mean, that's one of the biggest...
Is that an Olympic sport, though?
It's one of our nation's biggest sports.
Okay. Is that an Olympic sport, though?
I don't know. Is basketball?
No. Quite frankly, no.
Should we have football?
No.
Okay.
Not in the Olympics.
The Olympics should be like specialty sports?
It should be the track and field and swimming and, I don't know.
And all that. Yeah. Okay. Table tennis.
No, see, to me, that's not an Olympic sport.
Oh, to me it is. That's the only time I get to watch
Competition, absolutely. Fun to watch. You betcha. These guys talented.
Yeah.
Yes. An Olympic sport? No.
I think, and this is me talking, McCarty only, my opinion, I think table tennis was added to the Olympics. I don't know how long ago it was, to boost the Chinese medal count. Because they swept.
Interesting.
In table tennis, I think they won 30 medals. Between mixed doubles and singles and team and, all the medals they give out. I think they won 30 plus medals.
What is everything about? What is it all about?
I think it's individual. Oh, you're right. It's about money.
I think they're adding sports to get more television time, to sell more advertising, to get more airtime. Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
I saw something cool about the Los Angeles Games. I don't know if you've seen this yet. The Los Angeles Games are going to be a no-build Olympic Games. They're not going to build any new stadiums.
Well, that's how they did in Paris.
They're going to use
existing.
Yes,
that's. I think that's what they did in Paris. They said we're using existing stadiums,
and so it doesn't cost the host city, billions of dollars.
And why not? That makes perfect sense.
You got so many venues in these big cities. Use them,
right? And if you don't have those facilities, guess what? You don't get to host the Olympics,
right? And for the marathon and those things and the bicycle races. Map it out on your existing streets. If you watched any of that stuff that was on the roads, they're running around the freaking Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Right.
You're running past the Louvre. I'm thinking, wow, this is so awesome. And that they used the existing streets that was so historic, these athletes will never forget it. But anyway, I was cool about that. Thinking, well, LA's not going to at least be pumping billions of dollars into, they're going to have to spend some money, but for the most part, no new builds.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
So it seems like I'm saying no team sports. That's what it sounds like. Yet I love watching the volleyball, but is that really an Olympic sport? And I love watching, don't get me wrong. Obviously, a lot of sports, I love playing table tennis more than I love watching it.
Right. I don't know. You have some team events in the track and field. You have the relays and
I'm not saying no team events, but that's what it sounds like. You know what I mean? When I start looking, it's like,
right.
But
yeah,
I don't know.
Speaking of sports,
no breakdancing though. Come on,
we have to delve into the first college football poll is out, and
is it really?
I'm kind of bummed. I'm just going to say I'm kind of bummed, but I understand.
Okay, well, all right. We'll go deeper. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710.
Let's get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
I don't put much stock in, especially preseason polls.
No, I really don't either. And I'm whatever. It's the new Associated Press.
Exactly, whatever.
Yeah, it's the AP poll, and the Tigers are ranked 13th in this new poll.
Not even in the top 10.
No, and the top 10 is where I was thinking we'd probably be on the edge. And they're saying it's because of our defense. That our defense finished the season at the bottom last year. Yeah. So it's, that's one of the things. At the top, no surprise. Giant Bulldogs.
Okay, well, I'm okay with that. Just don't put Alabama up there just because they're Alabama.
Yeah, Ohio State's number 2. Then it's Oregon. Texas, which is now an SEC school, and Alabama's number. So we've got, 3 SEC schools in the top 5. Alabama's 5th. Then you got Ole Miss at number 6, which is kind of cool. Notre Dame 7, Penn State 8, Michigan number 9, and Florida State is 10.
How do you look at people when they say Notre Dame?
Oh, not good. Not good.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
The number 7.
Yeah, no.
No, it's Notre Dame.
Don't like that at all. But, we opened the season in Las Vegas, in a big showcase game, September 1st, which is a Sunday night against USC. We have to win that game.
Oh.
That's a must win.
Brian Kelly's not won an opening game his entire tenure at LSU.
Oh, is that right?
He's lost to Florida State both years.
Yeah, that's right.
We opened with Florida State both years.
It was like a neutral site for both those
right,
games. Yeah.
And we lost both times.
That's not good.
So
That's
he's
not good.
he's got to come out of the gate stronger this year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big disappointment for Tiger fans. I'm hoping we can have, a much better year. What were we last year? Was it
Not good.
9 I don't know. I don't know the record. I'm hoping we win the SEC. That's what I hope. But my problem is, what are there now? 16 teams in the SEC? And
there's no other conference.
And there's no East and West. It's stack them all up.
Wow.
The two with the best record go to the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's the two with the best record in the SEC. So maybe
It's got to be because it's the SEC championship game.
So you could lose the USC game.
Well,
you could lose the Florida State game.
Because but then you start talking about strength of schedule.
Yep. And, but if you run the table in the SEC and are undefeated, do you still make the game, even though you've got an Alabama that's completely undefeated, except you beat them? You're their one loss.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work.
And when are they changing the playoff schedule?
Ooh.
When are they adding playoff games? Aren't they?
Is that one more year?
That's what I'm wondering.
Or is it next year? It might be next year. It might be coming this season. I'll have to look.
Yeah, now
because that's expanding to 8, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So when does that take place?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't remember.
You'll have to do all that research because you're the brains in the outfit, right? Remember that.
We are in trouble, aren't we? Woo, your money now. Next,
yeah.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
All I can say is, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. You just read something to me that I'm kind of blown away about.
Well, the tensions between Curtis 50 Cent Jackson and Bossier City ratcheted up. He sent out a post.
Was that,
Did I just say ratcheted up?
Was that the right phraseology?
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. He said it's pretty apparent, and I'm rephrasing, that Bossier doesn't want to do business with us. They must not like rich people, so we're not going to do business in Bossier City. We will not do business in Bossier City. I just got a message that one of the casinos contacted the 50 Cent crew and told them that they would be providing VIP rooms if they ever needed them. And the 50 Cent staff told them they will not do business with Bossier City at all. Here's where things happened, and here's as I understand it. Sportran was going to do a zip line from Mall St. Vincent and the boardwalk
during Humor and Harmony, and people could park in the boardwalk parking garage.
Right, and the boardwalk staff apparently agreed. That would work. Boardwalk management apparently agreed.
Right.
And so Sportran was mapping it all out. Then the mayor of Bossier stepped in and nixed it and said, no, we are not going to be a zip line stop. And now I'm told that part of the problem was that security was not provided for the boardwalk. That's what the boardwalk folks are saying, that the plan did not include security for when you're dropping these folks off. Are there
that had been partying all night?
Are there officers there?
Right.
Will Bossier Police have to provide the officers? Will 50 Cent pay for them? That was part of the rub. I think the 50 Cent staff people would say, it's not quite how it went down. That Bossier just pulled the plug, and people will say, well, why is Bossier City getting involved? Well, Bossier City owns the boardwalk. You got to remember that they own the boardwalk. Now, Sportran still did rides to and from the casinos in Bossier, and they wanted to include Bossier because of the construction. So they wanted to have a Sportran spot in Bossier because of the construction on I-20. Well, now 50 Cent is saying it's never happening. Nothing's ever happening in Bossier. So the thought of doing some events, our big concert at the Brookshire Grocery Arena would be out. Anything at the Bossier Civic Center will be out.
Is that cutting off your nose to spite your face?
I hope they can possibly kiss and make up, because 50 Cent's already talking about, he said something like, we need more pools and more hotels. I've got work to do. Which means he's going to go work to get swimming pools, more hotels for Shreveport.
Wow.
I think his ulterior motive here is to make money. And if Shreveport is booming and Shreveport is growing and people are coming here and looking to buy here, he makes money. And I think he's onto something. I really do.
Grow the town? I'm for it.
Yeah. And if you're one of the inside investors buying up property early like he is, and we start booming again, guess what? You're sitting on a gold mine. So I'm excited about it. And, but Bossier may be out of the woods. I don't know. That may be a problem.
State Treasurer John Fleming joining us coming up after the news, top of the hour. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty. Okay, my fingers are crossed.
Mine too.
Hopefully on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker hotline this morning, State Treasurer John Fleming joining us. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yay! That's a wonderful thing. Thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Absolutely.
You and I talked briefly last night. I kind of gave you a mission for me. There's a little bit of a kerfuffle in Bossier City over term limits. Petition's been certified. More than 3,000 people have signed it. And now the Bossier City Council is kind of stalling on sending it to the voters. And I was of the impression that if they don't, the State Bond Commission then takes charge and sends it to the voters. Have you been able to research anything in the quick notice I gave you and find out anything about what happens now?
Yeah, Aaron, first of all, let me kind of lay the foundation here. Article 6, Section 22 of the Louisiana Constitution, it's about approval of election propositions for local governments. So if a local government, it's a so-called home rule, if a local government chooses to do something, whether it's a bond issue, any kind of local election decision-making by the people, whether they approve it or disapprove it, for it to go on the ballot, it has to be approved by the Bond Commission.
Okay.
So in this case, what has happened is that there was a petition to the City Council to term limit both the mayor, that we're talking Bossier City now, to term limit both the mayor and the City Council, and the City Council apparently rejected it. And now apparently it's in litigation, because if there is a petition, as I understand it, I could be wrong because I don't know all the regulations and the statutes of Bossier City, but if it is not approved by the council, then there has to be litigation whether or not they can block putting it on the ballot.
Okay.
But whether it is put on the ballot, if it is approved to be put on the ballot, it still has to be approved by the Bond Commission, not whether or not the Bond Commission does not weigh in on whether or not there should be term limits. The Bond Commission weighs in on whether there should be an election. Certain standards, certain approvals, certain notices have to be done, and it also involves the Secretary of State as well.
Can the Bond Commission supersede the City Council? If the City Council doesn't move it to the ballot, can the Bond Commission say, okay, we're going to move it to the ballot because you have not acted, and the city charter says the council shall put this on the ballot?
As I understand it, Aaron, that the Bond Commission cannot do that.
Okay.
The Bond Commission's role here is if all of this has been settled and it's ready to go to the ballot, then it has to be approved by the Bond Commission before it can go to the ballot. And the reason for that is to ensure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, so that it's an approved election, that there hasn't been anything that's been done irregularly or without the proper regulations. So I think that the understanding that some may have that somehow the bond commission can weigh in and change the outcome is just not the case.
Okay.
We're just a step, a link, if you will, in the chain. It has to come to us if it's before it goes to the ballot.
Okay.
We can't force it onto the ballot. That's not our role.
Okay, that clears that up then. I'm glad you took the 12 minutes I gave you and researched it. I want to ask you about another big kerfuffle that you're in the middle of with Bank of America. You want Louisiana to stop doing business with this massive bank. Explain why.
Well, that's not exactly the case. What has happened, there was a request by the Inter-Emergency Board in New Orleans. See, as state treasurer, I sit on about 35 different boards and commissions. So I don't know all the details of everything, but I have surrogates who serve there on my behalf and report to me. And they have to decide for a period of time upcoming who is going to be their fiscal agent. That is, what bank are they doing business with for their board, which this is the Inter-Emergency Board in New Orleans. And they asked for my recommendation for or against Bank of America. And what I submitted to them was I recommend no, that they should not make Bank of America their fiscal agent, and for a very good reason. This bank has a terrible track record of discriminating against Americans based on their political view or their job, their mission. There are two cases where they debanked or denied services to Christian organizations that do charity work in foreign countries like Uganda. They closed bank accounts for gun manufacturers.
Whoa!
Basically because, hey, we don't like guns. We don't think we should have guns. So we're going to try to put you out of business by denying services. So it goes on and on and on with that.
I'm glad I don't have any accounts with them.
Well, it's a big bank, and they do a lot of business, and they're very good at what they do. But you have to understand that our banking system, basically our financial system, going back to BlackRock and other brokerage companies, they've all been weaponized now by the left to discriminate against those who may be involved in, let's say, oil and gas, or firearm sales or production, something having to do with Christianity or Judaism. There's the anti-Israel boycotts that go on worldwide. So our financial system, our service systems, which are third parties, they're not part of government, have now been weaponized to go against people they disagree with. The bottom line is this is discrimination. Mm-hmm. And discrimination has no place in our culture in the United States. We did away with that in the 60s. We passed the civil rights laws and so forth. We know it's anti-constitutional, but the point being that private companies now have been weaponized to go against citizens. And you might say, well, where does this end? Well, I'll remind you, remember the big trucker strike that happened in Canada about a year ago? Mm-hmm. Y'all recall that?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Right.
Well, in order to break up the strike, they closed down the accounts of the truckers. The government did this. Mm-hmm. So you can see that government somehow plays a role behind these companies. And remember that the Biden administration advanced something called the framework of central bank digital currency. The federal government under Biden, and I'm sure Kamala Harris would love to do this as well, wants to have visibility into your bank account, and they can directly or indirectly control your bank account, can close it, can do all sorts of things. This is already going on in Europe. It's also going on in Canada. And we're already going the first steps down that road, using our financial institutions as weapons against citizens.
Can you stay with us? I want to talk gold and silver. I want to talk about the last week's crash, how that cost the state, and what you're worried about looking forward. Can you hang with us?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
State Treasurer Dr. John Fleming, Mike and McCarty, 1017 FM, 710keel.com.
Back to the big stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 1017 FM and 710 KEEL.
On the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline, State Treasurer Dr. John Fleming joining us this morning. Dr. Fleming, we're talking about gold and silver and discussion on using that as currency. Mm-hmm. Tell me, where are we on that and how is that going to work?
I only caught the second half of your sentence there. Can you ask that again?
Well, there's been discussion about allowing gold and silver to be used as currency.
Yes.
And so where are we on that and how's that going to work?
Well, first of all, there's a loophole in the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution. It says that states cannot create their own currency, but for gold and silver, they can recognize that as currencies. Legal tender is the term used in the Constitution. So the legislature, with our help, the Treasury Department, passed into law this past session that gold and silver is now legal tender for the state of Louisiana. And what's important about that is people love to hold gold. They love the idea about it. And it's a great hedge against inflation. It doesn't deflate with the inflation that we have today. However, it's difficult in terms of holding it, selling it, liquidating it, financially. And there's a company called Glint, and there are others, GLINT, that now you can buy gold online and they'll issue you a debit card. You could actually spend gold in your local store.
Ah, that's how it works.
Yes.
So we can already do that? It's in place now?
Yes, it is in place. So there's a company called Glint, GLINT. You can go online and learn about it. You can set up an app. But you can now buy gold. It can be held in a depository, and you can spend it, and you don't have the big transactional cost. They'll eat up a lot of the benefits like you once did. You don't have to bury it in your backyard or hide it under your bed anymore.
Kind of a cushion against inflation too, right?
Well, absolutely, because, to the everyday consumer, it looks like prices are going up. In fact, what's happening is your dollar is shrinking in its buying value, and things like real estate, gold and silver, precious metals, they hold their value against the deflating dollar. So it looks like that gold value and silver value is going up over time. What's really happened is your spending dollar is going down. The bottom line on this is that it's a great hedge against inflation, and certainly if you can now spend it easily with minimal transactional cost, then you can stretch your dollar a lot more.
We know the market took a deep dive last week. How does that affect Louisiana? What are we looking at over the next 90 days?
It doesn't hurt Louisiana, and I'll tell you why. As you know, one of the three functions of the Treasurer of Louisiana is to invest your tax dollars and federal dollars. Remember that 70% of that investment is going to be in interest-bearing accounts. Interest rates are high, both to the consumer and to the investor, which means that we're getting great returns. We've got returns of $400 million just in the last 5 years. Now, we do invest around 30% of the dollars into equities, the stock market, But again, we choose very, very conservative types of stocks, the blue chips. So our investments don't experience the kind of fluctuations that maybe somebody who's really going into speculative stocks might see. So bottom line is it's not hurting Louisiana with regard to our investments in Baton Rouge, but it has been quite a roller coaster ride. And I think, again, a lot has to do with jobs, unemployment, and interest rates. As you know, the Fed's been tightening for the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I think investors are looking for interest rates to start coming down. And I think they will soon. And as soon as they do, we may see the market move up.
Are you a little concerned that the next 90 days, I mean, we're in this election season now where things do get volatile in the markets. And for the regular consumer, my financial advisors are telling me just don't go look at it. Don't be obsessed with going and looking at it all the time,
which is hard to do.
It's hard to do. But it is going to be a volatile 90 days, right?
Well, it could be. First of all, we don't need a socialist in the White House, and certainly Kamala Harris and Congressman Waltz, Governor Waltz. I served with him when I was in the House as a congressman. Anyway, they're both socialists. They basically feel like that everybody should come out the same, regardless of who goes to school, who tries hard, who works hard, or who stays at home. So we don't need that, first and foremost. But with regard to the stock market, my advice to people is don't even get into the stock market unless you're there for the long term. Put money in there, like in your 401k or IRA, and understand that over the last more than 100 years, if you put your money in the stock market, let's say index funds or broad market purchases, not necessarily individual stocks, that over time you're going to see a 9 to 10% compounded annually return, which is excellent. Sure. You just have to be patient. Don't go in and out of the market. Just go in there and stay in there.
Right.
Gotcha. Great advice, and thank you for researching my thing on like a 30-second notice yesterday. We appreciate that.
Okay, how's Subway treating you? You getting your sandwich okay?
My sandwiches have been perfect. Thank you very much.
In fact, I'm going today. We were talking about that during the break. Subway sounds good today.
There you go.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all. Take care.
State Treasurer John Fleming, Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710KEEL.com.
Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Well, coming up right after the break, Dr. Cade Brumley, Superintendent of Education for the state of Louisiana, going to be joining us on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710KEEL.com.
Back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Oh, 7 FM, 710 KEEL. Boy, I miss Ruben, Mike and McCarty on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline this morning. The State Superintendent of Education, Dr. Cade Brumley, is joining us. Good morning, Dr. Brumley.
You got him there? You got him on the right one?
I think so.
Hello.
There you are.
There he is. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning.
I gave you a heads up right like 10 seconds before we went on the air, which is pretty typical. I'm sorry. There's a kid in Livingston Parish who has started a petition to stop the cell phone ban in schools. Really, I mean, not a chance of this taking any effect. It's great on her for trying, but it's really going to have no effect, correct?
Well, look, I appreciate, a student wanting to be involved in the process. But, look, this cell phone prohibition was duly passed with overwhelming support in our state legislature, backed by data that's a growing body of data that's showing the negative impacts of cell phones that are having on students, both from an academic perspective and a behavioral perspective and a mental health perspective. And so, no, I don't think that our lawmakers are going to back down on this particular prohibition.
She says, this youngster says, the kids know when they shouldn't be on their phones, but, if we really go look in schools, they were on their phone during class time. That was happening a lot, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that cell phones were being extensively used in classrooms across the state. And I think that our lawmakers have really good intention around this particular bill, and I think they gave flexibility to local school systems for the nuances that they may have to, be able to make adjustments as needed. But, at the end of the day, again, a law that was passed with overwhelming bipartisan support, signed by Governor Landry, and is in effect today. Yeah, I've heard from a number of parents and families that have said, "Hey, my kid's not too happy about this one." But at the end of the day, we support it and we think it's going to be helpful.
Dr. Kate Brumley, there was an article in the American Spectator called "The National Security Risk at Our Door." Apparently, and we know the woke agendas from the left, but we're failing to teach civics and U.S. history. And this could cause huge problems. This is a huge issue, isn't it?
Well, look, I've been saying this for a few years now that, I believe that, America's failure to teach, the facts behind American history and the civics that underpin our government do create a national security risk. And so after having said it, for a year or so plus, I decided to pen the article in the Spectator to just put it out there for everyone's perspective to give it some thought. But look, when you have less than a quarter of the students graduating from high schools across the country proficient in American history and civics, that should be alarming to everyone. How will we know and appreciate, the beauty of the country, the majesty of the country, but also the quest for that more perfect union? And then if you look at all of the various things that are happening in our country today, we need to be able to protect and sustain and improve the republic. And in order to do that, civics certainly needs to be a priority in our schools.
Well, we know the left is really trying to rewrite and erase history. You can't do that in the good, the bad, and the ugly. We have to remember it.
Well, we have been, look, Louisiana is a leader in this space. We really are. We have other states across the country looking at us because, as you guys know, we've talked about this a couple of years. We built and implemented the Freedom Framework for U.S. history and civics education for K-12. And really it's telling the story of the people, the places, and the papers that have been most significant over the course of our history. It outlines the struggle, the sacrifices of individuals. It calls out the fact that, we haven't always been perfect, but we have to be on that quest for a more perfect union. And furthermore, what I'll say is it eliminates a lot of bias in teaching practices because it focuses on the primary source documents. It asks kids to, look at the Declaration of Independence, look at the Constitution, look at the Gettysburg Address, the I Have a Dream speech, and draw inferences and make decisions based on those primary source documents, not what someone else tells them about the document.
100 years ago when I was in school,
I thought it was 200, Aaron.
Hey, Louisiana history was mandatory. Civics was mandatory.
Right, yes.
I think are some of these no longer mandatory, and why?
No, they're mandatory. I just think that we we particularly just in Louisiana, but nationally, moved away from facts-based primary source documents in these content areas, and I think that we replaced it with more of the social sciences, and we moved away from just truly understanding the facts of our nation's history. And again, that is all of the facts. And then furthermore, looking at and understanding the civics that underpin the government, such as the various levels of government, the branches of government, how we can interact with each other in a civil society. Because again, like if we can't understand these things, I don't know how the next generation is going to sustain, protect, improve upon the republic.
I think something that your staff sent me, it could be a game changer. The extra tutoring through the Steve Carter tutoring program, we're spending about $30 million on this, which will provide really intensive tutoring during the school day. Explain how that works, what students can be eligible. How's this going to be working?
Well, there are a few things I think we should discuss as we kick off this new school year, and this is one of them. You know, we want to be the first state in the country that can tell a family and tell a kid, you know, if you need a little extra support, we have it for you. And whether that's our tutoring model called Accelerate during the day, or whether that's the Steve Carter tutoring program in the evening or the weekends, it can both be helpful. So our legislature passed a law this last session, and it goes into effect this school year. Basically, what happens is any student in grades K through 5 not proficient in reading and or math has to receive high-dosage tutoring. So what does high dosage mean? If you think about that in medical terms, it means the right amount, the appropriate amount. So they have to get, at least 30 minutes 3 times a week of small group tutoring in that content area, whether it's reading or math, K through 5, if they need a little help. And beyond that, guys, I'll share with you, we're really excited because we've been able to expand our Steve Carter model, which gives families a $1,500 voucher so that they can use it at a private tutor of their choice in the afternoons and the evenings. And our legislature graciously gave us $30 million to provide the school systems for our tutoring model during the day, and $5 million for the Steve Carter for the evenings and weekends. So we really will be the first state in the union to take this to scale, and I'm excited about the opportunity here.
Game changing, yeah.
Dr. Cade Brumley, thank you so much for your time this morning, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy new school year. Break out the flashcards.
Absolutely.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Coming up now, Tommy Chandler, mayor of Bossier City.
Uh-oh.
We heard from him.
Yes.
About 50 Cent's comments about Bossier. Hear what Tommy has to say coming up next. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710KEEL.com.
Breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
All right, this was interesting. Earlier this morning, in case you missed it, Aaron, you came across a statement that Curtis Jackson made about Bossier.
Yeah.
And wow. It's kind of harsh. These are kind of harsh words.
Yep. Bossier didn't want us over there. Okay, we not coming.
And I'm assuming this stems from the fact that right before Humor and Harmony, 50 Cent's people had worked out with management at the boardwalk. Parking at the boardwalk garage.
Right.
And then running a shuttle back and forth across the Texas Street Bridge.
They said they wanted to have a Bossier location for the shuttle because of the construction. So people wouldn't get caught in the construction on I-20. They were going to run the shuttle. Obviously, they're going to use the Texas Street Bridge and to avoid the hassles.
Right.
Well, Bossier City owns the boardwalk. And apparently the plan wasn't cleared by the city leaders. And the mayor put the kibosh on it and said, no, in no uncertain terms is the boardwalk going to be a shuttle location. Now, I'm told, and we're going to have the mayor on coming up in about 10, 15 minutes, that there was an issue that with regard to security. Who's providing the security at this location? Will it be Bossier police officers? Will it be private security? Is it going to be state police? Who's paying them? And that they didn't have that full plan worked out.
Right.
So if you didn't have that plan worked out, and we're, a week or so out, I understand that could be a problem because you could potentially be shuttling people back to their cars who may be intoxicated.
Have been partying all night.
You bet.
And then there's no security at the Bossier location.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It makes sense, and you need, and we'll ask the mayor, what was the security plan? What were they asking you to provide? What, had you had any discussions, weeks in advance? How late did this come to your table? There are a lot of questions about it, because now I'm told, I got a message this morning that the casinos in Bossier have sent 50 Cent's team saying, we'll roll out the red carpet for VIP rooms in our hotels for you for your next event. And he has said, go pound sand. We're not coming to Bossier. We won't stay in your hotels in Bossier. Thank you, but no thanks.
Now, we've heard for weeks and months what a smart businessman Curtis Jackson is.
Yep.
But this doesn't seem like the smartest move.
Well, I know, because you've got the Brookshire Grocery Arena could be an excellent location for some of these concerts.
Absolutely.
If
much larger than the municipal.
Absolutely. If the 3,000-seat municipal is not large enough, you don't want to do it outdoors at Independence Stadium.
Right.
Brookshire Grocery Arena would be ideal. Tons of parking. Heck, you could shuttle people from there up the parkways and to downtown. We want to hear it from the horse's mouth, and the horse today is Mayor Tommy Chandler. I'm not calling him a horse, but you know what I mean.
I'm sure he's been called worse.
Oh, yeah.
But again, there's two sides to every story.
Absolutely.
And so why he chose not to be a shuttle location, a parking location, again, he's got reasons.
He does. And he may want to reach out to the 50 Cent, the G Unit team, and, explain to them, here's what happened. I want to work with you in the future. I'm sure he will. And
we'll hear from him right after the news, top of the hour. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. .107 FM 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty, and on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker hotline this morning, Bossier City Mayor Tommy Chandler joining us. Tommy, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Aaron.
Morning. A little bit of a kerfuffle now with the G Unit, 50 Cent. He says he's not welcome in Bossier, so he's not coming there. I want you to explain what happened. The boardwalk was going to be a zipline location, and then you contacted city officials and said, in no uncertain terms, will the boardwalk be a pickup location. What happened?
Well, let me first get this out that I never said in no uncertain terms. I never did say that. And I wish I hadn't had the pleasure to meet 50 Cent yet, or Mr. Curtis Jackson, which I'm loving to do. We've reached out to him 2 or 3 different times to reach out to meet him, and I'm looking forward to meeting this man. I know he's a great businessman and a great leader, and he has a lot of pull with all his people he's got around the world that meets with him and stuff.
So the Sportran statement they put out that says, last week, Bossier Mayor Tommy Chandler contacted several in Shreveport leadership to inform them in no uncertain terms that Sportran zipline rapid routes are not welcome in Bossier. That's a lie?
I met with Tom Arsenault in my conference room. We talked about it. I said, look, with all the traffic and everything that's going to be down in that area, they had to close Texas Street twice that night of the Saturday night. They had to close it like twice, and then some exits on I-20. For that much amount of traffic, I offered them it had to be city property, so we offered them the Brookshire's Grocery Arena parking lot, which they could have shuttled there, gone over Jimmy Davis Bridge, and gone straight down the Clyde Bat Parkway, straight into downtown, just a straight shot. We offered it to them, and they said that they could not do that.
That was too far out, was it? What did they say? Why that wouldn't work?
They didn't tell me. They just told me they couldn't do that.
They wanted the boardwalk.
Yes, ma'am. This is like someone is going to throw a big birthday party at your house with thousands and thousands of people, and you're not invited. But you only find out about it a couple of days beforehand that the party is going to happen. We found out late. Really how I found out, I was listening to y'all one morning, which I always do because I love to listen to y'all in the morning. And then I called my police chief. I called my fire chief. I called Amanda Nottingham, my CAO, and I asked them. I said, "Have y'all gave them authority to do that?" And they said no. So we kind of figured out. I even called Julian Whittington, the sheriff, and so we would. The little short time we had, number one thing in Bossier City for me is safety. Not only safety for police, but also by fire, because people could, there could have been some accidents down there. Some people could have passed out in the heat and all that kind of stuff. So I got to worry about not only the police, but also the fire with that amount of people down there. And we were not prepared for that in that area, plus all the other people that go down to the East Bank every weekend.
But the boardwalk boardwalk management apparently okayed it. Did they have a security plan in place? Had they contacted any security teams?
Like I told you, I found out by you and Mike. So, nothing was planned with the city.
Okay. Is that the boardwalk that dropped the ball then?
I've heard numerous different people that have gave the okay, but that was not me or none of my people gave the okay with the city.
And the city owns the boardwalk. We need to make that clear. It's not a private company.
We own the parking garage and the streets in the boardwalk.
All right. And so you had no knowledge, your police chief, nobody had any knowledge of any security plan that was in place or anything with regard to who was going to pay for the security. Y'all didn't know anything about that?
No, ma'am, not whatsoever.
So, but what I'm gathering, Mayor Tommy Chandler of Bossier City, is you still are open and would be
of Bossier City.
There you go, the great city of Bossier City. You're open to working with 50 Cent and his people, and would love to do a collaboration with them.
Well, the amount of draw of people that he brings with him, why would I not? I mean, that's going to be what benefits in Shreveport and Bossier. I mean, it benefits Bossier too. So, I mean, I would not. I had no intention of avoiding him and telling him not to come over here.
So for him to post on Instagram that Bossier doesn't like our kind of people, they must not like rich people, so we're not going to Bossier. How do you respond to that? That kind of points a nasty finger at you.
Well, I'm sorry that nasty finger's pointed at me because I've been trying to reach out to him since last week, trying to get a meeting with him so I could tell him, said, hey, man, you'd be welcome here anytime you want to. He's just been misinformed, and some of the social media is very, very incorrect.
Okay. So if he's planning another event, I know the casinos in Bossier have reached out to say that we'll red carpet treatment for VIP rooms, and he has said thanks, but no thanks. We're going to stay in Shreveport. You're hoping that y'all can work this out.
Yes, ma'am. All our casino hotel rooms and everything were full this past weekend. We loved that. I mean, a lot of that was because of the people that was going to the
Humor and Harmony.
So, yeah. And with all the hotels all around were full, and all the ones in the East Bank and everywhere out there by Louisiana Downs. We loved that. Why should I? I'm not going to shake off any kind of people coming to Bossier City. We want people to come to Bossier City.
There were some people that told me that there was a little concern if you're shuttling people back to the boardwalk, and they may have been partying all night, that you might have had a lot of people that were, had been drinking and were getting a little too rowdy, and that might have been too much for Bossier to handle. Is that a part of this?
Like I said before, not only am I concerned for the police, I'm concerned for the fire too. Some of those people could have come in, could have passed out, or had a little accident in the parking garage or walking or something like that. You got to think of all the different, the scenarios that could have happened. But in that short of time, us getting everybody together to work it out, it was just, it would be better just to move them down to the Brookshire's Grocery Arena. They could be picked there and just easily transported down the Clyde Fant Parkway.
So you did offer the Brookshire Grocery Arena, and see, that wasn't publicized.
Right, sure wasn't.
Nobody has said that, we had the option to go to Brookshire Grocery Arena, but we didn't want to.
I think that's something. No, sir, it sure would. No, and I sat down in my conference room with Mr. Mayor Arsenault, and we talked about it.
One other thing people have mentioned, Mayor Chandler, is that the boardwalk could have hugely benefited from this. When these people parked their cars, They might have gone and shopped at the boardwalk before hopping on that shuttle. They might have spent hundreds and thousands of dollars in Bossier before ever jumping on the shuttle. Is that a concern for you and the boardwalk management who thought, hey, this will be a huge benefit for us?
Well, yes, ma'am. Then we have our regular customers that come down there, too. Another thing we was concerned about is after they put out that they couldn't park there, of all the people that were misinformed that they could park there, and they'd park there, and nobody would come to pick them up. I mean, they'd be down in the parking garage, and I'd hate to see those people have to walk over the Texas Street Bridge. I couldn't in that heat. If the trolley wasn't coming down there to pick them. We was concerned about that also, that they'd be parking in there misinformed and they wouldn't be picked up.
Well, hopefully this is just a huge misunderstanding. You'll be able to get in touch with Curtis Jackson's people and work this out, because Shreveport and Bossier City go together like,
rice and gravy.
Yeah, there you go.
That's close enough. I mean, we go together good. No, I would love to, meet Mr. Curtis Jackson and show him Bossier City and explain to him that, we did not, didn't tell anybody to stay away from here. I never did say that one time.
Mayor Tommy Chandler, appreciate you jumping in and wanting to clear things up. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all have a great day.
You too. Thanks, Tommy. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
There's too many mice over here, by the way. We got
like computers mice?
Computers. Ruben is out today, by the way, so if you hear dead air and things running over one another levels, just shut up and deal with it.
Tomorrow we're going to have Chief Wayne Smith and Captain Janice Daly in studio. She was in charge of putting together the security plan for Humor and Harmony. I'm mystified, but help me.
Hit me.
If you offer the Brookshire Grocery Arena with plenty of parking.
Right, sure.
A straight shot up either parkway.
No traffic. You're going over the bridge and then straight over.
Straight up the parkway.
Right.
Right to the site. What's the objection to that? Is it
I'm
too
curious.
far for people to drive all the way out there to get to park at the grocery? You got people in South Bossier that went to this event. Did they want it closer to the middle of town? I don't know. I'm not sure why the Brookshire Grocery Arena wasn't an option. Because if you're thinking middle of town, well, Mall St. Vincent was compatible for that.
Right.
You would think you'd want one either on the south or the north end of one of our cities.
Did they use Mall St. Vincent?
They did.
Okay,
Mall St. Vincent was the Shreveport pickup.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and they didn't. And you could have thought maybe Pierre Bossier Mall, but again, that's private property, I believe. They would have had to have that approved. But if they offered Brookshire Grocery Arena and the mayor of Shreveport said no thanks, I wonder why. I wonder why you wouldn't accept that. Maybe you had your heart set on the boardwalk.
Did the mayor say no?
That's what Tommy Chandler claims.
Or was it Curtis Jackson's people that said no?
Maybe the mayor pitched it to Curtis Jackson's people and they said no, but it sounded like in the meeting, the two mayors, Mayor Arsenault said, no, we really want the boardwalk. I don't know. Maybe that's what Curtis Jackson's people told him they wanted, because there's a hotel at the boardwalk. People could be staying at that hotel, jump on the shuttle. There's no hotel right now at Brookshire Grocery Arena, so there's nobody staying, nor is there a hotel nearby. So that might have been the problem. Hey, there's no hotel down there. People would have to drive all the way down there, and then they're driving a long way after they've been partying. That might have something to do with it. That might, because you want as little people that have been under the influence
on the road.
Sure. So if there's a hotel down there, it's a lot easier. I just don't know. We'll have to ask Mayor Arsenault next time he's on about that and figure out, what
was the objection to Brookshire Grocery Arena
and
BGA.
And for Sportran to put out a statement saying that Tommy Chandler said in no uncertain terms was the boardwalk going to be a pickup point, and he says, I never said that at all.
Right.
So
Yeah,
What's going
interesting.
on?
I know.
What's going on? I don't know. I'm not sure.
And we're not trying to stir the dookie paddle here. We're just trying to find out. Because
50
I want it
Cent's
worked
been
out.
stirring the dookie paddle. He's like, peace out, Bossier.
Yeah, that was harsh. That
Yeah.
statement, if you don't want, we're not going to be there. But the mayor is saying, of course we want you.
And he was trying to reach out and, extend an olive branch and say, hey, let's sit down. Let's talk.
Right.
We've got some luxury hotels. They're about to have the most luxury casino in the state of Louisiana.
Can't wait for that to get on.
That's going to be a big deal.
Yes.
And I do like the fact that 50 Cent posted, we need more pools and we need more hotels. I've got work to do. Meaning, I'm going to build some more pools. I'm going to bring in some more hotels. Not like government needs to do it.
And see, that's Aaron, that's what I'm very impressed with. He has come into this market and he's not like previous organizations that said, well, you need to put up $15 million and then we'll put up money. He's come in and put his money where his mouth is.
Yeah, and
and he's asked for very little from the city.
Right. And I'm going to follow,
I commend him
who's
for that.
paying for all the security. We had a ton of Shreveport police officers, city marshals that worked overtime. I want to make sure, as the mayor told us, the majority of that's going to be paid by Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. Well, when you do the math and you were thinking you were going to have 60,000 people at an outdoor concert at Independence Stadium, and you didn't reach that number, obviously, at the high-priced concert and comedy show.
An outdoor stadium in August in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't know that he's going to have made a fortune on this. And here's my theory, which is, I think, grand. I don't know that this was going to be a money-making event for him. I know he probably will make some. I think his purpose was to put Shreveport on the map,
Right.
attract new business, attract more people to our community so that they are buying things and investing and making this city grow. And then he's on the ground floor. He's already bought up a ton of property. He's already got the wheels in motion.
But it opens the door too, Aaron, to other promoters or whatnot going, look, this worked.
Yes.
Look what we did.
Right. But can we sustain that level of security on our dime? We can't. There's no chance we can. And that's what is critical. If people don't feel safe, they're not
Sure.
going to go. And that's what we have to make sure. We just need to find out, who spent what money? How much money is the city going to be on the hook for? Mm-hmm. And how much is Curtis 50 Cent Jackson and his company going to be on the hook for? Because we know Shreveport's in a tight budget situation right now.
And oh my gosh, we're down 140 police officers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just for regular patrol, not counting special events like this.
Right.
Mardi Gras,
Absolutely. And I think the fact that he is spending his money on this kind of a major event,
Right.
I think his goal is to make this city a spotlight and bring more people to town and bring more business to town. And then he makes even more money. And
it's good for everybody.
it's good for everybody. I think it's kind of brilliant. I really do.
Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Let's get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
State Treasurer John Fleming joined us on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline earlier this morning. Very interesting. Hear what he's got to say coming up just after the break. Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710KEEL.com.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Mike and McCarty. Okay, my fingers are crossed.
Mine too.
Hopefully on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline this morning, State Treasurer John Fleming joining us. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yay! That's a wonderful thing. Thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Absolutely.
You and I talked briefly last night. I kind of gave you a mission for me. there's a little bit of a kerfuffle in Bossier City over term limits. Petition's been certified. More than 3,000 people have signed it. And now the Bossier City Council is kind of stalling on sending it to the voters. And I was of the impression that if they don't, the State Bond Commission then takes charge and sends it to the voters. Have you been able to research anything in the quick notice I gave you and find out anything about what happens now?
Yeah, Aaron, first of all, let me kind of lay the foundation here. Article 6, Section 22 of the Louisiana Constitution, it's about approval of election propositions for local governments. So if a local government, it's a so-called home rule, if a local government chooses to do something, whether it's a bond issue, any kind of local election decision-making by the people, whether they approve it or disapprove it, for it to go on the ballot, it has to be approved by the Bond Commission.
Okay.
So in this case, what has happened is that there was a petition to the city council to term limit both the mayor, that we're talking Bossier City now, to term limit both the mayor and the city council. And the city council apparently rejected it. And now apparently it's in litigation, because if there is a petition, as I understand it, I could be wrong because I don't know all the regulations and the statutes of Bossier City. But if it is not approved by the council, then there has to be litigation whether or not they can block putting it on the ballot.
Okay.
But whether it is put on the ballot, if it is approved to be put on the ballot, it still has to be approved by the Bond Commission, not whether or not the Bond Commission does not weigh in on whether or not there should be term limits. The Bond Commission weighs in on whether there should be an election. Certain standards, certain approvals, certain notices have to be done, and it also involves the Secretary of State as well.
Can the Bond Commission supersede the City Council? If the City Council doesn't move it to the ballot, can the Bond Commission say, okay, we're going to move it to the ballot because you have not acted, and the city charter says the council shall put this on the ballot?
As I understand it, Aaron, that the Bond Commission cannot do that.
Okay.
The Bond Commission's role here is if all of this has been settled and it's ready to go to the ballot, then it has to be approved by the Bond Commission before it can go to the ballot. And the reason for that is to ensure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, so that it's an approved election, that, there hasn't been anything that's been done irregularly or without the proper regulations. So I think that the understanding that some may have that somehow the Bond Commission can weigh in and change the outcome is just not the case.
Okay.
We're just a step, a link, if you will, in the chain. It has to come to us before it goes to the ballot.
Okay.
We can't force it onto the ballot. That's not our role.
Okay, that clears that up then. I'm glad you took the 12 minutes I gave you and researched it. I want to ask you about another big kerfuffle that you're in the middle of with Bank of America. You want Louisiana to stop doing business with this massive bank. Explain why.
Well, that's not exactly the case. What has happened, there was a request by the Inter-Emergency Board in New Orleans. See, as state treasurer, I sit on about 35 different boards and commissions. So I don't know all the details of everything, but I have surrogates who serve there on my behalf and report to me. And they have to decide for a period of time upcoming who is going to be their fiscal agent. That is, what bank are they doing business with for their board, which this is an Inter-Emergency Board in New Orleans. And they asked for my recommendation for or against Bank of America. And what I submitted to them was I recommend no, that they should not make Bank of America their fiscal agent, and for a very good reason. This bank has a terrible track record of discriminating against Americans based on their political view or their job, their mission. There are two cases where they debanked or denied services to Christian organizations that do charity work in foreign countries like Uganda. They closed bank accounts for gun manufacturers.
Whoa!
Basically because, hey, we don't like guns. We don't think we should have guns. So we're going to try to put you out of business by denying services. So it goes on and on and on with that.
I'm glad I don't have any accounts with them.
Well, it's a big bank, and they do a lot of business, and they're very good at what they do. But you have to understand that our banking system, basically our financial system, going back to BlackRock and other brokerage companies, they've all been weaponized now by the left to discriminate against those who may be involved in, let's say, oil and gas or firearm sales or production, something having to do with Christianity or Judaism. There's the anti-Israel boycotts that go on worldwide. So our financial system, our service systems, which are third parties, they're not part of government, have now been weaponized to go against people they disagree with. The bottom line is this is discrimination. Mm-hmm. And discrimination has no place in our culture in the United States. We did away with that in the 60s. We passed the civil rights laws and so forth. We know it's anti-constitutional, but the point being that private companies now have been weaponized to go against citizens. And you might say, well, where does this end? Well, I'll remind you, remember the big trucker strike that happened in Canada about a year ago? Mm-hmm. Y'all recall that?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Right.
Well, in order to break up the strike, they closed down the accounts of the truckers. The government did this. Mm-hmm. So you can see that government somehow plays a role behind these companies. And remember that the Biden administration advanced something called the framework of central bank digital currency. The federal government under Biden, and I'm sure Kamala Harris would love to do this as well, wants to have visibility into your bank account, and they can directly or indirectly control your bank account, can close it, can do all sorts of things. This is already going on in Europe. It's also going on in Canada, and we're already going the first steps down that road, using our financial institutions as weapons against citizens.
Mm-hmm. State Treasurer Dr. John Fleming, Mike and McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Back to the big stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Now, you said you were it kind of bothered you that LSU came in preseason polled at number 13?
Yeah, I struggle with that a little bit. I was hoping we'd be in the top 10, but, I get it. I understand. We had a pretty dismal defense last year.
Defense was abysmal.
Yeah.
We had no corners. Which is kind of strange for LSU.
I know. We are called DBU.
Right.
We definitely need to work on that. 13th is okay. You got Georgia number 1, which everybody anticipated that, and Ohio State is second. So it's all right. It's going to be interesting because the SEC is now going to have 16 teams, and we've added Texas and Oklahoma to the mix. And they're going to kind of stack them all up, and then the top 2 play for the SEC
And there's
championship.
no more East-West.
Nope, East-West is gone.
I don't like that.
That's weird. because you obviously can't play everybody.
Right.
You're not always, we're not going to play Georgia probably ever unless we're in the championship game. So we'll see how that stacks up. And like you said, the playoffs are expanding this year.
I think it's a 12-team playoff starting this year now.
Wow.
Is that what they said?
That's what it looks like. That's a lot. That's 6 games.
Which is good. I like that.
And then they narrow. And I guess they're going to play at different bowl venues. Is it going to replace the bowl game, though? Or is it going to be in addition to a bowl game? Like if you're at the
SEC
Orange Bowl.
Championship or whatever?
No, like if you're going to the Orange Bowl, is it going to replace the Orange Bowl? Instead of having an Orange Bowl, you're going to be one of the championship sites? I'm not sure.
No, they can't eliminate the Orange Bowl.
But would you still have an Orange Bowl after you had Alabama play Ohio State? Or would the Orange Bowl be earlier? How's that all working?
Look,
I don't know.
My Nuriva hasn't kicked in yet, so I don't.
We need to get a sports expert to explain how this is going to work. Because I know in the past, the big championship game replaced like the Fiesta Bowl or whatever. If that was the site for the championship game, they didn't play the Fiesta Bowl. They played the championship game. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, but that's going to take the top 12 teams. So you're going to have 6 opening games. You're going to narrow that down to 6 teams. And then those 6 will play in 3 games. That's going to be a 4-week process.
I got no problem with that as a college football fan.
Is it going to extend it into February? I would guess close to the Super Bowl.
Interesting.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the schedule.
Yeah, I haven't looked it up.
I'm interested to see how that's going to work out because I'm glad more teams. It's a bigger expanded league playoff. But is it going to hurt the bowls? That's what I don't want to happen.
Don't you think there are some bowls that it's like, okay, do we need a Des Moines Tidy Bowl? I mean.
Well, wait a minute now. The Des Moines Tidy Bowl would say, do we need a Shreveport Independence Bowl?
Shreveport Independence Bowl is one of the longest running bowl games in college football.
I know. And please don't take this as criticism of the Independence Bowl because I'm a monster supporter. But they would say it's the smallest city hosting a bowl game, according to all the data. So should we still have one there? I mean, if we're going to hurt bowls, I just think having the local events and all the things that we do so well here makes our bowl game quite the success. So, by the way, they're moving into their new offices today.
And if you talk to players that have come here, they always go, oh, my gosh, it was awesome.
Oh.
We were treated like kings. It was great. It was so much fun.
They are having their open house for their new offices down there by the Outback Steakhouse. I think this afternoon, the first 100 people.
Near Ashley Ridge? Is that
I think so.
Area?
So, look at the Independence site. They're having a big open house party.
We'll have to get Missy. We'll have to talk to Missy.
Absolutely. They're going to have a big shindig today. I think you get, I think it's hot dogs and some other stuff. So, it's going to be a fun event.
Ruben's back tomorrow. Yay! Can't wait. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Back to the big stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM.
Where'd that come from?
710 KEEL.